let's begin indeed. Hello people, this is Jerry speaking. Welcome to TheCrazyBunch's WebShow episode number, 40, and today we'll be doing, just two topics today. One's gonna be like a Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, death topic, and then the other one will be an announcement topic. We'll be discussing it today. Excuse me, I misspoke. But anyway. However, this topic won't be on for very long, however. Because once I read this topic, this death topic, I'm going to go ahead and just read this, once I read this finished sentence of this death topic, I'm going to go ahead and just where I left off. I want to repeat this again from Friday's Logistics 25 episode 333, the Devil Jackpot episode. But right now, I'm going to read it to you right now. So we got Prince Philip of Greece, of Denmark, was born in Repos, a Greek island of Kwelp on June 10th, 1921. The only son and fifth and final child of Prince Andrew of Greek and Denmark, and Prince Alice of Battenberg, a member of the House of Glasberg, the royal House of Denmark. Okay, he was a prince of both Greek and Denmark. The virtual by ventral and this patrol descent from George I of Greece and Christian the ninth of Denmark. He was from birth in the line of succession for both thrones. Philip's four elder sisters were Margaret, Fiona, Cecile, and Sophie. He was baptized in the Greek Orthodox rite at St. George Church in the Orange Group Fortress. I can't pronounce these words. Sorry. Corfu. Okay. Shortly after Philip's birth, his mother's grandfather, Prince Louis of Battenberg, then known as Louis Mountbatten, Marquess of Marlborough, died in London. Louis was a nationalized British subject who, after his career in the Royal Navy, renounced his German titles and adopted the surname Mountbatten. Wow. An naturalized version of Battenberg during the First World War. Owing to anti-German sentiment in Britain, after visiting London for his grandfather, a memorial service. Wow. Philip and his mother returned to Greece, where Prince Andrew had remained to command the Greek army division involved in the Greco-Turkish War. The war went badly for Greece, and the Turks made large gains. Philip's uncle, and high commander of the Greek military force, King Camillus I, was blamed in the defeat and was forced to visit on September 27, 1922. New military government arrested Prince Andrew. I don't know why. This is stupid, along with others. Commanding officer of the army, General Georgios Hazanet, and 5 other senior politicians were arrested. Tried to engage in the trial of sex. Prince Andrew's life was so believed to be in danger, and Princess Alice was under surveillance. Finally, December, a revolutionary court banished Prince Andrew from Greece for life. The British Navy visual AMS Special investigate Prince Andrew's family with Philip carried the safety in the car made for the fruit box. Wow. Philip's family went to France, where they settled in the fairest suburb of Kwelp, in the house lent to the by wealthy aunt, Princess George of Greece and Denmark. Because Philip left Greece as a baby, he did not speak Greek. In 1992, he said that he could understand a certain amount of Greek. Philip said that he thought himself of Danish, and his family spoke English, French, and German. Philip was raised in a Greek Orthodox Christian. As a teenager, he was involved in the German Protestantism, known for his charm in his youth. Philip was linked to a number of women, including Ursula Benning. His youth began in education. He was first educated in Elms, and American schools in Paris run by Donald McJohnett, who described Philip as a well-known and all-smarty person, but always remarkably polite. In 1928, he was sent to the United Kingdom to attend Cheam School. Living with his maternal grandmother, Victoria Mountbatten, daughter Margaret's Mother Heaven, at Kingston Palace, and his uncle George Mountbatten, senior McWalkers of Mount Haven, at London Minor and Bray, Berkshire. In the next 3 years, his 4 sisters married German princess and moved to Germany. His mother was diagnosed with schizophrenia and placed him in the asthma, how you pronounce it. And his father took her up residence in Monte Carlo. Philip had little contact with his mother the remainder of his childhood. In 1943, he was sent to Saudi Scholarium in Germany, which had the advantage of saving school fees. Because it was owned by the family of his brother-in-law, Margrave of Bayern. With the rise of Nazism in Germany, Salem's Jewish founder Kurt Hahn fled possession and founded Coronation School in Scotland, to which Philip moved after 2 terms of Salem. In 1947 that is, his sister Khalil, her husband George Dodges Harney, Grand Duke of Hesse, her 2 young sons, Ludwig and Alexander, her newborn infant, and her mother-in-law, Princess Eleanor, of Psalms Lich, were killed in the air car crash of Austin. Phil, then 16 years old, attended the funeral in Darmstadt. Both Shelley and her husband were members of the Massive Fat Party. The following year, his uncle Gregorian had died of bone marrow cancer. It was sad, no. Now in wartime service. After leaving Gordonstown in early 1939, Philip completed a term as a lieutenant in the Royal Naval College, Dartmouth, then with permanent degrees, living with his mother at Adams for the month of mid-1939. And he said the Greek King George II, his first cousin. He returned to Britain in September to resume training at the Royal Navy. He graduated from Dartmouth the next year. It was best cadet in this course. During the Second World War, he continued to serve as the British forces. While 2 of his brother-in-laws, Prince Chris of Peace and Margrave of Baden, fought the opposite German side. Philip was appointed to the midshipman in January 1940. He spent 4 months in battleship AMS Ramines. Okay, protecting corridors and the historian expeditionary force in the Indian Ocean. Following the short postings in MHS Kent on the HMS Shropshire in Caton after the invasion of Greece and by Italy in 1940 of October. He was transferred to the Indian Ocean to the battleship HMS Valiant in the Mediterranean Fleet. On February 1st, 1941, Phil was nominated as a lieutenant, how you pronounce it, after a series of courses in Portsmouth, which he gained a top grade in 4 out of 5 sections of qualifying nominations. Among other engagements, he was involved in the Battle of Crete. He was mentioned to pilots for the service during the Battle of Cape Manhattan, in which he controlled the battleship's searchlights. He was also awarded the Greek War Cross. In June 1942, he was appointed to the destroyer HMS Wallace, which would involve in the country attacks on the east coast of Britain, as well as the Allied invasion of security. Okay, permanent relation. I pronounce this word. Promotion of that. Okay, I pronounced these words wrong. Sorry. Followed on July 16th, 1942. In October of the same year, he became first lieutenant of HMS Wallace. At 21 years old, one of the youngest first lieutenants in the Royal Navy. During the invasions of Seleucus in July of 1943, in the second command of Wallace, he saved up his ship for the night bomber attack. He devised a plan to launch a raft with smoke floats that successfully distracted the bombers, allowing the ship to slip away unnoticed. In 1944, he moved on to the destroyer, HMS Kwelp. Okay, how? Okay, we pronounce it. But anyway. Okay. Where he saw the service with the British to Pacific Fleet in the 27th Destroyer Flotilla. He was presented Tokyo Bay. Excuse me, I misspelled. But anyway, when the instrument of Japanese surrender with the sign, Philip would return to the United Kingdom on the Kwelp in January 1946. It was posted and instructed HMS Arthur, play officers at school in Charming, Worcestershire. His marriage began in 1939 when King George VI and Queen Elizabeth toured the Royal Naval College, Dartmouth. During the visit, the Queen and Louis Mountbatten asked his nephew Philip to George the King's 2 daughters, Elizabeth and Margaret, who were Philip's third cousins through Queen Victoria. His second cousin was removed through King Christian the Ninth of Denmark. Elizabeth fell in love with Philip, and they began their exchange the letters when she was 13. Eventually, in the summer of 1946, Philip asked the king for his daughters in hands in marriage. The king granted his request and provided his formal engagement was to be delayed until Elizabeth's 21st birthday, that following April. By March 47, Philip was examining his Greek and Danish royal titles and have adopted the surname Mountbatten for his mother's family, and that became a nationalized British subject. The engagement was announced in the public on July 10, 1947. Both Philip appeared always have been regarded himself as an intuition. He attended intelligence services with classmates and agents in England, and throughout his Royal Navy days, he has been baptized in the Greek Orthodox Church. The Archbishop of Canterbury, Geoffrey Fisher, wanted to recognize Philip's portion by officially receiving him to the Church of England, which he did on October 1947. The day before the wedding, King George VI bestowed the style of royal hymens on Philip, and the morning of the wedding, on November 20th, 1947, he was made the Duke of Edinburgh, Earl of Murdoch, and Baron Greenwich of the southern country of London. Coincidentally, being already the night of a gardener between November 19th and 20th, 1947. He bore the unusual style His Royal Highness Sir Philip Mountbatten. It was described as a letter's patient of November 20th, 1947. Philip and Elizabeth were married in the ceremony at Westminster Abbey, recorded broadcast by BBC Radio to 200 million people around the world. In post-war Britain, it was not acceptable for any of the Dukes of Edinburgh's German relations to be invited to the wedding, including Philip's 3 surviving sisters, all of whom has married German princes. After the marriage, the Duke of Duchess of Edinburgh took up residence at Clarence House. The first 2 children were born before Elizabeth succeeded her father as Margaret in 1952, Prince Charles in 1948, and Princess Anne in 1950. The marriage has become the longest in the British monarch. Wow. Prince was introduced in the House of Lords on July 21st, 1948, immediately before his uncle Louis Mountbatten, who has been Earl Mountbatten of Burma. Okay? Philip, like his sons, Clara, Charles, and Andrew, all other royals, with the exception of the first Earl of Soldon. Okay? He's the member of the House of Lords, okay? Following the House of Lords Act 1999, he never spoke in the House. After his honeymoon in the Mountbatten family house, Bolan's Philip returned to the Navy, and the first in the desk job at the Mary, I pronounce it, and later on the staff course in the Naval Staff College, Greenwich. From 1949, he was stationed in the Malta, residing at the Villa Garden Magna after being posted in the 1st Battalion of the destroyer HMS Aquarius. The lead ship is the first destroyer fighter at the Mediterranean Fleet. On July 16, 1950, he was promoted to Battalion Commander and given command of the frigate HMS Magpie. Okay? On June 30th, 1952, Phil was promoted to commander. That for his active naval career has been ended in 1951 July. When the king is ill health, Prince Elizabeth and Duke of Edinburgh were both appointed to privy council on November 4th, 1951, at the Coast to Coast tour to Canada. Okay. At the end of January 1952, Princess Philip and his wife set up on the tour to the Commonwealth. On February 6, 1952, they were in Canada when Elizabeth's father died and she became queen. It was Philip who broke the news to Elizabeth at Sandra Lodge, and the royal party immediately returned to the United Kingdom. Consort of the Queen. Royal House. Okay? It was very sad. Okay. The assumptions of Elizabeth to be from brought up the question of the names of the royal house. As Elizabeth was happily given Philip's last name upon marriage. Duke's uncle, Earl Mountbatten of Burma, Burma. Okay, the Duke's uncle, Earl Mountbatten of Burma, birthed the name Mountbatten. Philip suggested House of Edinburgh after his dual title. When Queen Mary, Elizabeth's grandmother, heard this, she refers to British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, who himself later advised the Queen to issue the royal proclamation, describing the royal house was to remain known as the House of Windsor. Prince Philip privately complained, "I'm not nothing but a bloody militia. I'm only a man who the country not allowed to give his name and his own children." And I agree with that. Bits and pieces. But anyway. On February 8th, 1960, several years after the death of Queen Mary, and the resignation of Churchill as Prime Minister, okay, the Queen issued as on Churchill consul declaring the Mountbatten Windsor would be the surname of her and her husband's male lines. These changes were not allowed. Royal Highness are titled as Prince of Princesses, while it seems as Queen is obviously set apart, such as change and had the mind for some time. It occurred for only 11 days before the birth of Prince Andrew, February 19th, and only has 3 months of protected correspondence between cultural expert Edward Alley, who averred that without such a royal child will not be born as a badge of bigotry. The Prime Minister, Harold Macmillan, who intended to rebut Ali's arguments. Wow. Jesus. Anyway, after occasions to the throne, the Queen have also announced that that the Dukes was have to place the preeminence and candidates, how we pronounce it, next to her on all auditions and all meetings, except what or otherwise provided act of parliament. This met the Dukes took precedence over the son, the Prince of Wales, except officially the British Parliament. In fact, however, he attended Parliament only when misspoke. But anyway, according to the Queen's annual stay of opening of Parliament, when he walked and sat beside her. According to rumors that over the years, the Queen and Duke was said by the insider to have a strong relationship throughout the marriage. Despite the challenges of Elizabeth's re-sign, the Queen referred to Prince Philip in the speech of the organization, the Diamond Jubilee, in 2012, as her consent strength guide. Prince Philip received a prominent annual of £359,000 since 1990. Wow. This serves to meet official expenses in carrying out public duties. The annual was unaffected by the reform royal fantasies over the sovereignty granted since 2011. Any part allowance that was not used might be official. Okay, well I can't scroll up a bit more, but anyway, expensive label for tax and prices. The entire allowance was used in front of official duties and milestones. As the consort of the Queen, Philip supported his wife in her new duties as a reciprocating Jane, how to pronounce it, but anyway. Accompanying her to ceremonies such as the state opening of Parliament to in various countries, state dinners, and tours aboard. As chairman of the Covenant Commission, he was the first member of the royal family to fly in a helicopter. Wow. Visiting the troops that were taking part in the ceremony. Bill was not crowned into the service, but knew before Elizabeth. But with her hands, according to his, goes in his, excuse me, but I misspoke, but anyway. And so to be her liege man of life and limb. In the early 1950s, his sister-in-law, Princess Margaret, considered marrying a divorced old man, or a man, Peter Talisman. Wow. Of the Who. Okay. Makes total sense now. Well, it's not the Who. Okay, never mind. The press of being hostile with the match. To which he replied, "I haven't done anything." Bill have not preferred to stay out over people's love lives. Eventually, Margaret and Townsend parted ways. For 6 months over 1953 and 1954, Philip and Elizabeth toured the Commonwealth, and with previous tours, the children were left in Britain. Okay, move on. In 1956, the Duke with Kurhan founded the Duke of Edinburgh Award in order to give young people a sense of responsibility to themselves and their communities. Excuse me. Anyway, in the same year, he also established a comprehensive studies conferences. From 1956 to 1957, Philip traveled around the world aboard the newly commissioned HMI Britannia, during which he opened the 1956 Summer Olympics in Melbourne and visited the Antarctic, becoming the first royal to cross the Antarctic Circle. The Queen and his children remained in the UK, in the return leg in Germany. Philip's private secretary, Mike Parker, was sued for divorce by his wife and was with Thomas Woodson. But anyway. The press portrayed divorce as a scandal. Wow. Eventually, Parker resigned. He later said that Duke was very supportive and the Queen was very wonderful throughout. She regarded divorce in sadness and not hanging offense. The public showed support the Queen created Parker commander of the War Victoria Order. Future press reports claim that the Queen's and Duke were driven apart, which range of the Duke and dismay the Queen makes no sense to me. But anyway, who issued a strongly worded denial. On February 22nd, 1957, she granted her husband the style and that title of the Prince of the United Kingdom by letters patient. Okay, whatever that was. But anyway, with Gaslit, whatever pronunciation word it is, they was being known as His Royal Highness the Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. Philip was appointed to be the Queen's private consul in Canada on October 14th, 1957, taking the oath of allegiance before the Queen in person at the Canadian residence, Rydday Hall. Remarks he made 2 years later. The Canadian Medical Association on the subject of youth and sport was taken as a suggestion that Canadian children were out of shape. That was the first considered tactless, but Phil was later married encouragement official fearlessness. In Canada, 1969, Philip spoke at this view of publication, and he said this. It's a complete mixed combination, and to imagine that this marjorie exists in the interest of the monarch. It doesn't. It exists in the interest of the people. At any time the nation decides that the system is unacceptable. Excuse me. That it's up to them to change it. Okay. In 1960, Philip attended the National Institute wearing a long green robe. Where he was nation. Okay, what pronunciation was? I'm gonna scroll up some more so I can read this. But anyway, intimidation of Harry although in the Archer Joy, how I pronounce it. But anyway, of Wales, Edgar Phillips. Through the bardic name Philip. Okay, how do you pronounce it? But anyway, the expression with the fact that this title of Martin, yeah, from Barneve. Okay, whatever. In 1961, he became the first member of the royal family to be interviewed on television. Wow. After he appeared on Permina to answer questions by Richard Dimmerly. Okay. After the Commonwealth Technical Training Week, and the incident of which he was patron. Pillars were patron of some 800 organizations, primarily focused on the environment, industry, sport, and education. His first solo engagement as Duke of Edinburgh was in March of 1948. Presented prizes at the boxing finals and the London Federation of Boys Club and Royal Albert Hall. He was president of the National Playing Fields Association, now known as Fields and Trust, for 64 years. From 1947 until the grandson, Prince William, took over the role in 2013, the year I graduated from high school. He serves as UK president of the World Wildlife Fund from 1961 to 1982, international president from 1981, and President Morris from 1996. In 1952, he became patron of the Industry Society, since renamed the Work Foundation. Between 1959 and 1965, Prince Philip was president of BAFTA. He was president of the International Coordination Federation from 1964 to 1986. And served at the Congress of the Universities of Cambridge, Edinburgh, Salford, and Wales. In 2017, the British Heart Foundation thanked Prince Philip for being the patron for 55 years, during which time, in addition to the organization's fundraisers, he supported the creation of 9 BHF funded centuries of explanations. He was honorary fellow of St. Edmund's College, Cambridge. Charles and Diana. At the beginning of 1981, Prince Philip wrote to his host son, Charles, consoling him to make up in his mind and even proposed that the lady Diana Spencer on breaking it up with the courtship. Charles felt pressured by his father to make a decision and did so, proposing to Diana in February, to marry 5 months later. By 1992, the marriage of the Prince and Princess of Wales had broken down. The Prince and the Queen Philip hosted a meeting between Charles and Diana, trying to effect the coronation without success. Philip wrote to Diana, expressing disappointment with both Charles and her extra-marital affairs, and asking her to accommodate both his and her behavior for the other points of view. She found the letters hard to take, but nonetheless appreciated that he was with the good intent. Charles Diane later separated and were divorced in 1996. A year after the divorce, Diane was killed in a car crash in Paris on August 31st, 1997. At the time, the Duke was on the holiday and at the Balmoral. It was extended royal family in the grief. Diana's two sons, Princess William and Harry, wanted to attend church, and so their grandparents took them that morning. For 5 days, the Queen and the Duke showed their grandsons for the Associated Press interest by keeping the professional where they were grieved and the private. The royal family selections caused public dismay, but the public mood changed after the live broadcast made by the Queen on September 5th, 1997. Uncertain as to wherever they stood walking behind the coffin during their funeral procession, Diana's sons sages, how to pronounce this word. Princess Philip told William, "If you don't walk, I'll think you will regret it later. If I walk, you will walk with me." On the day of the funeral, Philip, William, Harry, Charles, Diana's brother, Earl Spencer, walked through London behind her burial. Over the next few years, Myron Fayed, whose son Darby Fayed, also killed in a car crash. Proclaiming that Prince Philip ordered the death of Diana and that accident was staged. The Prince of Wales' death concluded in 2008, and when there was no evidence in the conspiracy. Wow. Okay. Perfect sense do make no difference, huh? Largely in final years. Okay. In April of 2009, Philip became the longest serving British royal consort. He became the oldest ever male British royal in February 2013, and third longest lived member of the British royal family, following Prince Alice, Duchess of Gloucester, and Queen Elizabeth, the royal Queen Mother. In April 2019, Parsley was not as a charge about living this extremely long life. Remarking in the 2000 interview, he was 79. He could not imagine anything worse, and have no desire whatsoever to become a centenarian. And I felt worried because he passed away, and I'm not going to talk about it until June the 10th, which is my birth month, by the way. Saying bits of me are falling off already. In 2008, Prince Philip, excuse me, I misspoke, but anyway, was admitted King Edward the 7th hospital at London for the chest infection. When he walked into the hospital unaided, recovered quickly. He was discharged 3 days later after the Evening Standard reported that Phil has prostate cancer. Buckingham Palace initially refused to comment on health rumors, and I agree with that. Denied the story. The paper retracted it. On June 2011, in an interview marking his 90th birthday, he said there was slow down, and when he does his duties, stating that he would have done his bit. His wife, the Queen, taking the title of the Lord High, for his 90th birthday, while saying that Standard House, the royal residence of Norfolk, on December 23rd, 2011, the Duke suffered chest pains and was taken to the Charge Unit at Papworth Hospital, Cambridge. Sure. Okay, I haven't even spoke that, but anyway. Where was underwent surgical surgery on Fast Street in Sletton. He was discharged on December 27th. Okay, on June 4th, 2012, During the celebration in honor of his wife, Diamond, Germany, Philip was taken from Windsor Castle to King Edward VII's Hospital, suffering from the Blair infection. He was released from the hospital on June the 9th. After recurring infection in August 2012, while staying in Bomber Castle, he was admitted to Aberdeen Royal Infirmary for 5 nights as a precautionary measure. In June 2013, Phil was admitted to London Clinic for exploratory laboratory findings on this Bomberman. Spent 11 days in hospital. Okay. On May 21st, 2014, the Prince appeared in public in the bandage on his right hand after a minute's privilege was performed in Buckingham Palace the preceding day. In June 2017, he was taken to Windsor to London and admitted to King Edward VII Hospital. After being diagnosed with infection, he spent 2 nights in the hospital and was unable to attend the state opening department at Warchester. Retirement. Prince Philip retired with his royal duties on August 2nd, 2017, meaning Royal Marines, and his final public engagements, 896. Since 1952, he had completed 22,219 solo engagements. Prime Minister Theresa May thanked him for a remarkable lifetime of service. On November 20th, 2017, he was celebrating his 70th wedding anniversary with the Queen, making him the first British monarch to celebrate a prime wedding anniversary. On April 3rd, 2018, Philip was admitted to King Edward's VII's Hospital to plan hip replacement, which took place the next day. This came after the Dukes missed the annual Marjorie and Easter Sunday services. On April 12th, his daughter, Prince Anne, spent about 50 minutes in the hospital and afterwards said her father was on good form. He was discharged the following day. On May 19th, 6 weeks later, he attended the wedding of his grandson, Prince Harry, to Meghan Markle, and was unable to walk with the Queen unaided. That October, he accommodated that Queen to the wedding of their granddaughter, Princess Jane, to Jack Brooksbank, okay, with Telegraph reporting that Phillips was working on the wake up and see how I feel basics, with the deciding whether to attend the event or not. On January 17th, 2019, 97-year-old Philip was involved in a car crash when he pulled up on the main road near the Sembridgeham, how do you pronounce it, estate. An official statement said it was uninjured. Wow. An eyewitness who came to Prince's aid described having the white blood off his hands. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, the driver and the passenger of the other car were injured and taken to the hospital. Prince Philip, attended the hospital the next morning. Precaution. He apologized, and 3 weeks later, voluntary surrendered his driver's license. On February 14th, the crowd procession service announced that Prince Philip would not be in public interest. Duke was still allowed to drive around private estates and was seen behind the wheel in the grounds of Windsor's Castle in April 2019. From December 20th to Christmas Eve of 2019, Philip stayed at King Edward VII's Hospital and received treatment for the pre-existing condition. In the visit described by Buckingham's Palace and a precautionary measure, he have not taken been seen in the public since attending May Gabrielle Kingston's wedding in May 2019. A photo of Philip with the Queen as they established at Windsor Castle during the COVID-19 pandemic was released ahead of his 99th birthday in June 2020. In July 2020, he stepped down as Colonel Chief of Rifles, a position he held since 2007. He was succeeded by the Duchess of Cornwall. On January 9th, 2021, Philip and the Queen were vaccinated against COVID-19 by a household doctor at Windsor Castle. On February 16th, 2021, Philip was admitted at the King Edward VII Hospital as a precautionary measure after feeling unwell. He was visited by Prince Charles on February 20th. On February 23rd, he was considered by Buckingham Palace, but that Philip was responding to treatment for the invasion. On March 1st, 2021, Philip was transferred by the ambulance to St. Bartholomew's Hospital to continue treatment for the infection, and eventually undergo testing and I can't scroll down, but anyway, observation relating to pre-existing heart condition. He underwent a successful progression to his heart condition on March 3rd, and was transferred back to King Edward VII's Hospital on March 5th. He was discharged on March 16th. He died peacefully on April 9th, 2021. He was 99 years old. He was 99 years old. 2 months before his 100th birthday. He was the longest serving royal chancellor in the British history. The cause of his death has not been disclosed, but the palace said that he died peacefully. His death led to the comment of Ormond Fourth Bridge. The plan was publicly announced his death and organized a spiritual consideration with his wishes of dimensional fuss. The funeral was scheduled to take place on April 17th, 2021. Now, I'm going to talk about this, and we'll do the moment of silent reflection after this. So, let's talk about it now. But anyway, health issues and death. I already read about the health issues and death in this episode, but let's just read the funeral now. Anyway, okay, let's talk. Anyway, the funeral service was held, and the Duke was not given a state funeral usually reserved in monarchs. Instead, it was planned to be a royal ceremony funeral. Okay. It was at the intention of oh man, this was such he would not lie in the state, and I agree with that. Though the Duke was lying in the rest. Private chapel at Windsor Castle prior to the service. His wishes were said to be a military funeral conducted at St. George Chapel and burial at Farmore's Garden for burial at St. George Chapel would be traditional. The royal ceremonial funeral will be at the same level of honor as formerly given to Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, Diana, Princess of Wales. The event will be televised. The Princess funeral scheduled for April 17th. A Saturday includes the Duke's coffin being moved to the Gregorian Guards. The state's entrance of Windsor Castle before being taken to the west steps of St. George Chapel at 2:45 p.m. in the land of Watford. Designed with the help of Philip himself. The coffin will be dropped in the personal standard and its natural cap. Sword to the breath of fresh flowers we place on it. Military chiefs from the Royal Navy, Royal Marines, the Highlanders, 4th Battalion, Royal Regiment Scotland, the Royal Air Force, William Bureau of the Prince of Wales, another family members and the as well as members of the Duke's household will walk behind the coffin. the King troops, the War Horse Fraternity will fire men's guns throughout the procession. As when steps in the chapel will be lined by the household guardy. 8 pallbearers for the Royal Marines will take the coffin. There will be a combination by the Royal Navy Pipers and the National Minute songs will be verged at 3 p.m. Not sure about Eastern Standard Time, but that's just me. David Corner, the Dean of Windsor, and Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury, will perform the service. The Duke will be buried in the Royal Vault at the St. George Chapel, where he was joined by the Queen upon her death. Attendees, in light of regulations against mass coverings because of the COVID-19 pandemic, there was no crowds or members of the public presence at this time. There will be a number attending not intending furrier, including the pallbearers and Curry. As a result, only the royal family and the Duke's private secretary will attend the ceremony inside the Capitol. Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, who reside in California, had planned to return to the United Kingdom for the Duke's 100th birthday, and the U.S. buried the statue with his mother. He will now return to the funeral, which is planned to take place on April 17th. He will be joined by his wife, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, but she was discharged by the doctor after making the trip. She was pregnant with the couple's second child. Per recommendations of travel in the United Kingdom, Prince Harry will have to quarantine and isolation at least 5 days before being allowed to attend the funeral. He may qualify for the Dominic explanation will allow him to quarantine in chosen location rather than one in specially managed hotels. The Prime's manager, Boris Johnson, will not attend the funeral. In a statement, Johnson said he would decline any invitation so as to allow any members of the Duke's family, if it was possible, be attendance. Reaction to death, and I have to agree with this right there. Royal family, the Duke's children, Charles, Prince of Wales, and Prince Royal, and Prince Andrew, Duke of York, and Prince Edward, Earl of Wessex, paid tribute to him in interviews recorded with the broadcast after his death. Prince Edward stated, without him, life would be completely different. Prince Charles also made a televised short statement from High School House, describing his father as a much loved and appreciated figure who have given a much remarkable devoted to the service of the Queen, to my family and to my country, and also to the whole of the Commonwealth. And the Duke's grandson and granddaughter-in-law, Prince Harry and Meghan, said it was to be greatly missed. Upon the announcement of the Duke's death, the website of the royal family tried to remove all this content and replace it with the background, explaining the statement of the palace. Before the online book of condolence made available on the website for the public to post on the personal tributes given them COVID-19 respirations, present the practical book of condolences be signed to the public. And I agree with that. Anyway, Prince Charles traveled from his residence of Gloucestershire, United Kingdom, to Windsor in the afternoon of April the 9th, which is okay. Oh, it's the southwest England. It is the United Kingdom. That's okay. Prince Andrew, Prince Edward, and his wife Sophie, countless of Westwicks, visited the Queen in the morning of April the 10th. The 74th British Academy Film Awards was held on the weekend of April the 10th and 11th. Prince William, Duke of Cambridge, President of the British Academy of Film and Television Arts was to appear at the ceremonies to pull out the public engagements due to his grandfather's death. And I agree with this. This is sad. The Duke of Edinburgh has been the first president of FTA. The opening ceremony begun with a tribute to him. Yeah. United Kingdom. Prime Minister Johnson speaking outside 10 Downing Street, exploring his condolences, stated that the Duke helped stir the royal family and monitoring that the Senate remains in installations in parliamentary while to the balance, inhabitants of our national life. Makes perfect sense to me, but I agree with that. Later of the obligations, the three first ministers of the colonies of the country's United Kingdom, and all living former British prime ministers expressed several similar type. Bits and pieces can agree to that. But anyway, as it did nation's nation's leaders, House and Commons what we called a day earlier as an Easter break on April the 12th. Which, by the way, Easter's already been done with in the United States. To allow MPs to pay tribute. The House of Lords was already due to set on this day. Well, the election campaigns were also suspended following the Duke's death. Yeah, at noon on April the 10th, 41 gun salutes were fired in these cities across the United Kingdom and overseas territories of Gorm Raider on our warships, including HMS Diamond and HMS Montrose at sea. The virus salutes the televised across the United Kingdom. Sporting events in the United Kingdom held on April the 9th, and over the weekend following the day of, including this 2021 Grand National and Premier League fixtures, observed 2 minutes silence as a mark of respect. Sporting bodies plan to rearrange sporting fixtures to they are scheduled to occur on the weekend of the Duke's funeral. Now, public will be amazed. But anyway, due to restrictions during the COVID-19 pandemic, members of the public were advised not to leave flowers and pay tribute to the Duke. And I agree with that. And the notice marking the Duke's death outside Buckingham Palace were removed to avoid crowds forming around it as members of the public gathered to read it. Despite this, over 100 floral tributes were placed in the palace gates by mourners. The royal family suggested that instead of leaving floral member tributes as royal residents, the public could support charity. Flowers left at Windsor Castle or displayed privately castle grounds. Crown suspended these, how you pronounce it. The Royal Governor of the Isle of Man, Sir Richard Gosney, paid tribute to the Duke in a message of condolence sent to the Queen, while the island's Chief Minister Howard Cawley, how pronounce it, had at the island's community had fond memories of meeting the Duke. He says that Prince Philip has been a profound impact in national life, including here on the island of Isle of Man, not least for the Duke of Edinburgh Awards. Flagging the public Billings, Billings, I misspoke, but anyway, on the islands were being flown in hazmat. Jersey flags will be flown in hazmat until the April 18th. Best of Jersey Tiffany Lee Gaw confirmed. Chief Minister John Lee Gardy paid tribute in the message the pound the government. I don't speak much language like that. Sorry. Share the pre-fallen status felt by islanders. He was added his Royal Highness has been steadfast and selfless in support of Her Majesty the Queen throughout the resign and visit the island several occasions, as well as as a patron and several Jersey charities. His services and coming in to charitable community causes and will be sorely missed. Lee Combs said he was also saddened to hear the news of the Duke's death, and was impossible to fully prepare for one of the losses of such important figures. Continues to attribute the Duke only a few among us are old enough to remember a time when he was not simply part of the central life of the nation. Supporting Her Majesty the Queen and the royal duties have retired from the public duties only recently. Wilson Governor Senior Stephen Dalton described the prince as the austere man who served with distinction, energy, and passion. He added, "Our thoughts and prayers are with Her Majesty the Queen and the members in the royal family, Greece and Denmark." As the Duke was Greek by birth, the Greek President Gavril Poliou, how to pronounce it, shared a personal photograph of him as the young boy. The photograph has been presented to the nation by Prince Charles in a visit to Athens in March 2021. Okay. Weeks before the Duke's death. In it, the young Philip was dressed in the uniform of his episode guard. Her message, if it was a she, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, she was elected. Okay, never mind. Her message acknowledged the Duke's service of the UK as his country. Constantine II, the Duke's cousin, and the last the King of the Ellens, described Philip as a remarkable man who just dedicated his entire life to duty and service to his country and the Commonwealth. And that my soul was even deeper because of our close family ties. He was deeply missed by all of us. Condolences were issued by Queen Marguerite II of Denmark. Okay, I got a message from Josh. But anyway, a nation of which the Duke was born a prince, with a message stating that she had sent personal condolences to Queen Elizabeth II. Wow. Okay. Commonwealth. As a senior member of the British royal family, the Duke was also a prominent figure of the Commonwealth nations and primarily the Commonwealth realms. Representatives of the government and officials opposite applications of multiple Commonwealth realms and nations throughout the Duke's gestures and consulates share messages of condolences of the monarch and the mourning of the Duke's their people, as well as the British may know it Dukes and support and patronage and organizations throughout the Commonwealth. Partly his support of the Duke's and Embark's Awards programming. The 41 gun salutes were also fired across the Commonwealth. On the afternoon of April the 10th, it was observed outside Parliament House in Australia. Wow. It was planned to be observed in New Zealand from Point Jordanham in the appropriate time on April 11th. A small church service was held in Sydney on April 11th, which is tomorrow. That is, which I'm taping this today, which is April the 10th, for Australian officials to pay tribute to the Duke. Royalty. Violet heads of European monarchies, the main whom the Duke was related, prominently with Queen Victoria, and also shared the grief, Victoria, and also shared the grief, including Philip D. and Marjorie, Queens of the Belgians, Albert II. Excuse me, I misspoke. Albert II. Yeah, I misspoke. But anyway. The Prince of Marlborough, Williams, Alger, and Maxwell, the King and Queen of Netherlands, and Princess Belgium of the Netherlands, Harald V, the King of Norway, which is cool enough, I guess. Margaret, Cousins and Clouds of Romania, Philip the Sixth, and Lithuania, the King and Queen of Spain. I never heard seen Spain, but anyway. Henry, the Grand Duke of Luxembourg, and Carl, I don't know how many, it was 14th. Carl and Sabia, the King and Queen of Sweden. Wow. Other monarchs of different parts of the world, including native monarchs of Kronberg nations, are sent their condolences. Anyway. International. Past and present representatives of the government of many nations give tribute to the life of Duke in this event around the world. Also sharing symphony were the president of the European Commission's Ursula von der Leyen, a spokesperson for Secretary General of the United Nations Ocean Scavenese, Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom, Commonwealth Secretary General, the Bachelor's Scotland of Ashwell, Director General of the World Trade Organization, National's Ocean Equality, only having announced it, sorry, the President of the World Bank, David Sparks, and Secretary General of Natural, Jens Schellenberg. I got two more that I had to talk, or three more I have to talk about. That I have said in the death or response of the death of Duke. Now, his death made me shock a little bit when I saw a news app on my iPad. When I saw it on my iPad, which is sad. When I saw it the same day he died, I was shocked. I just read and like the PBS NewsHour and Entertainment Tonight respectively. I'm like, are you kidding me? Then when I was brushing my teeth, I was like, okay, this is so shocking. When I went to tell Mom that, and she was like, what? Are you kidding me? And oh my god, and she was shocked as well. He's old. Mom told me, and I agree with her big time. If you watch this, Mom, it's for you. And I saw this from the former President Barack Obama, and it said that, I'll never forget the president that the Duke and Queen that we first met, that we had met by Michelle and I, also known as Michelle and Barack Obama. But anyway. Now we're going to get the moment of silence regarding to Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, right now. Thank you. Rest in peace, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Now, I got one more topic to talk about, and I'm going to do it in full screen because of this. Now, in regards to my announcement post, and I want to talk about it now, okay? Okay. I have an official announcement of what's going to be happening next to LJPCBM and its feature to LJPCBM. And it's not about travel and everything, okay? It's in regards to what's the future holds, LJPCBM and everything else. Not my besides my Friday show and everything else. It's gonna be a different ways, okay? First of all, what do you think about my bed? It was amazing. So what I'm about to do now is get this ready to go. Because number one, I have to put my projects on. Once I get done with Crazy Bunch's Web Show episode 40 is done with, I'm going to put this show on hold. Because number one, it's had to be, I haven't done, or actually Crazy Bunch's Web Show on hold, no. Yeah, actually, yeah, let me phrase that. See if we try again. Actually, I'm gonna have another green. I have a green screen, in the house. So I'm saving more money to save. I'm gonna have more. Money to save on my computer, my Mac Mini, Mac M1 chip. If you watch this remix for you, because I really need it because I need an M1 chip really badly for the Mac. So this is the first ever Mac I really wanted for the first time ever, and I really want the green screen. Because I really need that green screen in the house. Because it's better than the ones in Barney Friends Vlogs episode 97-ish. I can't remember what it was, called Howdy Friends. But that's just me, of course. I really want it badly, but because of that, I don't want to take BNF Vlogs episode looking like this, you know? See the bed, see everything else. Well, I just want to get rid of this soon. I want to get rid of everything else soon. I promise you that. But later in the year, once I get done taping game shows and all, because the 25 is coming up on June 25th, my birth month, and same month as my birth month. But anyway, we got to get the green screen and the Mac Mini. Like I said, it's gonna be a big plus for me. I promise you, we're going to get some stuff out of the way. So, hang tight. I'm getting a new green screen and the Mac Mini for... We already did Mom's room. We already did my room. Let's do my brother's next, okay? It's going to be an LJPCBM headquarters. Not only my room, but also my brother's room. If you watch this, Mo... I'm sorry, but this is me, but that's just me, of course. But anyways, guys, that was the Crazy Bunch's Web Show episode number 40. I'm sorry, but it's not gonna be a hold for right now. But anyway, stay tuned for the next one, which is going to be either Elgin Reacts episode 600 whatever it was. I don't know. I'm about to bring it back tomorrow. And then I got Weekend Celebration episode 78. But we're regarding that. But we'll see what happens. Till next time, so just goodbye. Peace out, baby. Get more episodes, guys, very soon. Till then, Jump saying out. See ya.